Roll call, please.
Autumn Graybill,
Here.
Ron Reeser,
Here.
Pamela Buffington,
Here.
Roy Jackson, Sherry Alexander,
Here.
Chris Graves,
Here.
Keith Shelby.
Here. Administer the oath of office to Pamela Buffington.
Okay, over there.
Yeah, I'll just stay there and you can stay here. Okay.
Okay.
Want me to read it?
I state your name.
Pamela Buffington.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
I do.
You have to repeat.
Oh, you want me to read it? That I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma and the Charter of the City of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma. That I will not knowingly receive, directly or indirectly, any money or other valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act or duty pertaining to my office other than the compensation allowed by law. I further swear or affirm that I will faithfully discharge my duties as Park Board Seat 3 to the best of my ability.
Sign the bottom.
I will. Oh. You want your pen back?
Yes.
Number 3, petitions from the audience. Seeing none. Number 4, discuss possible approve the minutes of the July 28, 2025 meeting. Everybody had time to read over minutes. Any questions about the minutes from our previous meeting?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Number 5, park reports, Frank Powell. Frank sent a message earlier. Mayor, do you want to do his report, or do you want me to just read what he sent me? Just read it, if you got it. Okay. He said today that they've been doing quite a bit of mowing. Most of their repairs and stuff that they've had time to do with, of course, as wet as it's been, they've had quite a few mowings and trying to get caught up on that, and he said there's nothing really going on at the cemetery. I think they have everything through. I don't know what the budget looks like on that part. The mayor could probably fill us in if there's any questions that you want to ask about it, but I know they had quite a bit of stuff in. While we're talking about Frank's report, this the very next thing underneath there is discussing regarding drainage issues caused by runoff gravel from the park department on Meadowview Circle. If anybody knows where that's at, it's over at Centennial Park. We were just discussing a bit earlier. And that creek there, the gravel is coming from the trail that's washing off into the creek, which is causing it to fill. It's starting to flood some of those homes back over there. And so I had somebody reach out to me and wanted, for us to bring it up. So in Frank's message, he put in there that it is on their capital outlay. They've got budgeted for it. It's just not an easy fix. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it's on there to do to get fixed. So it's something that at some point, I'm sure as soon as the mowing season slows down, they'll get on top of that and try to get some repairs done. But they do know about it, and it is on their capital outlay.
When you say flooding, does that just mean water's running through the yards or
They said it's standing in their yards.
standing, but nobody's house is?
It hasn't got to the house yet. It's just running up into flooding their yards.
So
Several
it's
do that.
it's exceeding the boundaries of the creek?
Yeah,
then?
they said
Okay.
it's just,
So here's what's happening, where the trail comes down, there in that corner behind, the houses back there, all that chat is washing down, and if you go in that creek and you walk down behind where the Morrisons live,
yeah.
back in there, behind the Allwards, you can see that there's about 1 foot to 2 foot of chat that has built up in that creek. Plus you've got utility lines running through there, so with that raising the ground of that drainage up, the debris is caught, and then you get into where you're right behind our librarian Carrie Rarrett's house, and it's actually eroding that down. And so what is happening is that it is the water's not able to channel the way it needs to. So he's going to have to get back there with a small little backhoe or something and literally dig that back out. But then he's going to have to reinforce where that's washing down that slope and probably either do concrete or put a curb on that.
Yeah.
Makes some sense.
Thank you, Mayor. But other questions about any of that? They just wanted it brought up, and it was our attention, and I don't think some of it's ours and some of it actually belongs to, sewer and that, but it was kind of a dual thing. Number 7, golf course report, Dennis Bowman.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Sir.
Golf course has been really busy for July and August, so we just keep kind of setting records. It's of course the weather seemed to be pretty good this July and August, but we still had plenty of hot days. Just to update, I know some of y'all wasn't here in the last meeting, but July of 24 we did 95,000. July of this year we did 105,000. So
Is that due to the membership rates going up?
probably a little bit of everything. We raised a little bit with memberships, but more green fees. We actually sold more green fees.
Do you
And
have a count of how many golfers you've had compared to last year?
yes, I do have that. I don't have that right off the top of my head, but I do have the count for how many golfers played in July or August or both. But I have all that stuff. Yeah. But I know the numbers were up on the paid rounds. I could probably find that really quick.
There was a rate increase on just the memberships or everything?
Was it last year?
It's been a while.
When did we do that? Last January?
This is January, it's been a
It's
while.
been a
Raised it
while.
10%.
Okay,
But
so these are pretty comparable numbers then, really?
yeah.
Because Sherry brings up a good point, is it volume or
Yeah,
rates?
the volume or is
Yeah.
it not, yeah.
Yeah, the volume keeps going up, which is good. So, and in August, we did 89,000 last year, and I'm kind of projecting close to 100,000 this year, depending on how big the weekend is, if we don't get rained out or anything. So we should be up again another 10,000. It's just really great. I mean,
Awesome.
we keep having these great years. I think, well, if we just hold steady, but it just keeps getting better. So that's really good. All of our tournaments that we've had went real good. We just hosted the Life Smart tournament, so they had a few more teams than they had the year before. So they had 11 teams the year before, and I think we had 14 this year, something like that. So that's a fun little tournament to do. I don't know if you know about the little Life Smarts and what they do, but I think it's a great little cause. Help raise money for those kids. We've got a lot of events coming up. It's on our website. A lot of, September's probably one of our busiest event months. We'll have the United Way tournament, Ray tournament. Ray has 2 tournaments. Gold Bond has a tournament for their employees. So it's going to be just a very busy September and October. So we did some work on our pump station. We've been working on that thing for about a month. The motor went out, so we pulled it out, and some of you may or may not know, but the original pump station was really big, really hard to get in and out of the river. So what we decided to do is it had 4 pumps motors in it. So one big conglomeration with 4 pump motors. We decided to break it down into 4 separate units, smaller units that we could get in and out of the river a lot easier. Because that river's a tough place to work, steep banks, and it's heavy trying to get those pumps and motors in and out of it. So I worked with Polypro. Tom Craven's just been wonderful in helping us, and so we've broken it up into smaller units. Now it's so much easier to take one out and replace the motor and put it in. So it's going, and used to, you got 4 motors in there. If one motor went out, you had to take the whole thing out, or usually you'd wait till 2 of them went out, take the whole thing out, replace a couple motors, put it back in. Now we can actually do them individually. So it's just going to be a lot better. So that's a lot of good progress we've made there. Got all.
Dennis, do we still use the same guy that designed that, or is there somebody else now that maintains and
Well, we maintain it ourselves, but Tom Craven's here at Polypro. It's all just poly pipe and electric motor and a pump. So he's the one that has helped us redesign it and put it in and put it in the river. We do all the work putting it in and out of the river, but he redesigned it, and you know, he is really good with that poly pipe. If you ever need somebody for poly pipe, man, call Tom. Him and his crew is just great. But I know they do a lot of work around the industrial park and all that and stuff, so. But it's, you know, it's just kind of a unique thing that we have, but for them, you know, they deal with their poly pipe, they was able to figure out just same thing we have, but smaller versions, so we have 4 of them instead of one big one. And it makes it so much easier for us to manhandle and get it in and out of the river.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we haven't got it complete, but I just really know, I know it's gonna be very, very good when it gets done. So, and then that way, you know, one motor goes out, it's easy to pull it out, pull just one of them out, the other can keep running. That was another thing, when, you know, when you have to pull it out of the river, you have no water, other than the city water. So now, we can actually pull one out, leave the other still running. Put a new motor in it, shove it back in, open a valve, and then they're all going. So, in the system that we have, there's 3 60-horse pumps in there, and then one little 5-horse. But out of those 360s, one will get you by. It'll water pretty well everything on the golf course, but 2 helps the speed of it, so that you can water everything at night. You don't have to water anything during the daytime, because you got a small window to put a lot of water out. 3 of them in there always leaves you a backup. If one goes down, you still got 2 that can water everything. And then the little 5-horse just maintains pressure for when you're using a water hose or have a leak. It helps keep your pressure going. So I'm really pleased. We just improved our mouse trap out there, so it's really good. Some of you may have been out there. We got all the new bridges are in, so they're great. We just put some of the chips from the city up here as our approaches, so it's kind of gravel approaches, until we can have time to go in there this fall and actually figure out. Some of them we're going to do asphalt, some of them we'll do concrete. We want to make them really nice and make our approaches good. So that's going to be our fall project, is finishing those bridges, the approaches, making them really nice.
Hole 2 across the creek, is that where the bridge is gonna stay?
Yes,
By
the old bridge is not staying there, but the new,
Yeah,
that's where the new,
where
the
new
big
is.
new one, yeah.
Instead of going downhill, we'll just go across the bridge.
Yeah, if the low water dams low water bridge has water, then everybody just goes around to the big one. And it makes it good even for our equipment to get across when there's water running. That little creek runs a lot more than it used to because of Bootsy and Pryor Stone. They pump all the water out of their pit, so every time they get more water and their pits get bigger, whatever, they pump more water down that creek than it ever used to have. So we get more water coming down the creek, especially after rains, and so having that big bridge.
There's a lot of water standing. I didn't realize how much that little creek gets, but there's quite a bit.
Yeah. So they go to pumping it out, and you'll know it's when they're pumping it because it has a little bit of a limestone look to it. It's a little chalky looking water. When it's rain water, it's just nice and clear. So, but really excited to have all those bridges almost done. We get them approaches done. I think they're just going to look great and really help us out, help the golfers out. It's going to help our golf carts, because those other bridges are so narrow, the concrete's so narrow that people would hit the curbs and bend the tie rods. So now we don't have to worry about that. If they hit the sides, they gotta be pretty careless.
I will say it's 1,000 times better. I've actually had people talk about the bridges.
Good.
So,
Good.
Speaking from experience, it's wonderful. And
No,
it's
I
not
love it.
nearly as scary as it used to be.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I've done it several
Good.
times, and it's really good, but I've heard actual people talk how
Yeah.
much better improvement it is seeing that.
Now also, we've been working on our sand bunkers. We did 2 of them today. putting more sand, getting a better sand, trying to get our bunkers up to, where they're in really good shape. It takes a lot of sand, takes a lot of time and labor, but this cool weather let us catch up a little bit, so we still got several of them to do, two more bunkers, and we'll have them all, I think, in really good shape. That's about all I have right now. We'll get into the other stuff.
We'll just go down our list then. So number 8, I had update regarding golf carts. So did we figure out what we're gonna do on that, or?
Yeah, I've got, so I thought. the mayor
Well,
was
I
gonna-
think he stepped out just like for a phone call.
Okay, yeah, he may have, because the mayor said he was gonna, he wanted me to get him all the information and he was gonna go over it, so.
Well, then he's doing that. We'll just wait and let's skip 8 and come back, and we'll come back to it when the mayor gets back in. Number 9, discuss possible recommend council action to offer discounted group membership rates for churches at the golf course. So, there was a gentleman that reached out and was wanting to talk about it, I guess. Mr. Ard, are you the gentleman that
Yes.
talked about it? You're gonna talk about it, so, or step up and talk to us and kind of tell us your thought? While Dennis is there, we can kind of discuss it and come back a little bit.
Yeah, so the corporate rate is what the, I guess the corporations have. Dennis was out of town. I called up to see if we could, that a church could have 9 people, and if we could have a membership. And they said, yeah, come on up. So we filled out all the paperwork, sent in the money, and then Dennis comes back and says, no, you can't do that. So apparently we don't have, we don't get paid by the church, and that's one of the stipulations that's written on there.
Yes.
So to help out the city to have more members out there and have the golf course be used a little bit more by more people, I think it might be a good thing. There's people that would show up for the discounted rate that possibly wouldn't show up for the, I think it's $2,300.
So your proposal was that, not the employees of the church, but expand that to the members of the church?
Expand that to the members of the church, and then they have, I mean, I think we have 50 churches or so. Not all of them are gonna be there, but I guess one of the, going back and forth with the mayor and Dennis and the mayor and we were talking about, well, how do you verify that they're a sure enough member of the church? So what we do at the softball, church league softball, there's a lot of people that always want to play softball, but they don't show up to church, and then they check in with the elders or the leadership of the church via email or whatever, and then we could do the same thing with the leaders of the church. Dennis can reach out to them via email or anything like that to verify that that member is sure enough a member of the church. I don't see the downside in having extra people out there at the golf course, and especially if it's going to be a little bit more revenue for the city.
I've got a couple of questions. One, having Dennis and the golf course reach out to over 50 churches to verify memberships is a lot. That's a lot of work when they're already kind of shorthanded. So that's something that we really have to let them talk about. Number 2, how many of those people that are in the churches are already members? And is that going to take away from the existing membership?
That's a good question.
Because I know a lot of people that are in these churches that are members already, and I'm afraid that's going to hurt membership if they all go to corporate rate. So that's just some things to think about.
Those are 2 good points. Another point would be, where can you draw the line?
Yeah.
You have a lot of civic organizations, okay, non-religious civic organizations, and so you're opening up an area which is going to create some gray lines for a lot of different organizations too. I think we have to consider that as well.
I think a big thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with the corporations getting the discount that they're getting, it's because the corporation themselves is flipping the bill for it, so it's coming from those corporations, whereas you have these church members, it's all these church members paying their fees, so it's not, I don't think that that's really fair to give them that
So the
corporation
corporation,
discount.
the corporation such as GRDA pays that, but the members of the people that are on there, they're paying for it.
I don't know, that's why I
Yeah.
said, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how the corporation discount
I
works.
think it's probably a mixed bag.
Is
I
it?
mean, I think you got some companies that just pay for it, and then some of it just pass it on to the benefit to the
But they have to,
employees.
the way I understand it, from what I've seen that's come through our office, is to get a corporate membership, we have to list every member that's on there correctly? Is that correct? Dennis?
Yes, that's correct. And
Yes.
when we, this
Mid-America wanted a membership, and so it was a deal of, well, who goes on it? Because you have to pay for each person, but you have to have a name.
To
You
go
can't
with
just
that,
have a Mid-America and anybody that works there.
50 members.
It doesn't
Absolutely.
work that way.
We have everyone's name on there, and it could be up to the leadership of the church to say, reach out to the golf course on a monthly basis or whatever you deem as the golf pro to say, hey, check in with me to make sure the names are on there. And then the leadership of the congregation, whether it be a nonprofit or a civic organization. I guess my point is to get some more people out there, the opportunity to have more people out there, the more people you have out there, the more people that are spending money at the golf course, spending money that they would not maybe have done at the 20, or whatever the rate is right now. So that's our thoughts.
Well, I guess my question would be, and I'll let you chime in, how much of a discount is a corporate rate than a regular membership, Dennis?
It's probably about 80% discounted for what they get.
So it's considerably by a
But
discount.
big
considerable
discount.
discount.
Yeah.
So I can tell you the numbers just
They
because
pay
they're fresh on my
20%.
head. If you have 9 people out there, each person is paying $497, $98, so just under $500. But the people that you would get for that amount of money would not be out there for the other amount of money. So I guess, do we want a little bit, or do we want a discounted rate and get more membership out there, or not?
Have you talked to other churches to see who all's interested in this?
I didn't want to open that up and get people excited about it, like our congregation got excited because there was a mix-up. But I can only imagine that there's several people that would be interested in it.
So my only hang-up is, it's a great thing that we have a lot of churches in our community, but the problem is you do that, then I think that's gonna hurt our membership period, because then everybody's gonna be a member of the church, some church, and then it's going to bring our actual membership
Well,
rate
it'll likely
down.
dilute the revenue streams from other
Yeah.
areas, for sure. For sure, that's something that has to be considered.
Do we
Yeah.
have corporate rates at the rec center? Does anybody know? Do the churches
Mayor?
and different people have discounts at the
think so.
rec center?
I believe they do.
They've got like Cherokee Nation discount.
Right.
And veteran discounts for that.
But they don't do stuff for like individual churches or private organizations or anything like that.
Does Google not have a discount out there?
Not at the rec.
Okay.
Maybe a question that kind of helped enlighten us would be, why do you think people would play more if they were under the membership than they would if they were paying for it?
So I guess what the biggest thing for me is Dennis ran a special, a 3-year special. I don't golf, but 2 of my kids golf. And I'm not a golfer, didn't have clubs, but Dennis ran a 3-year special like for $175. If I play a couple times, it pays for it. And I don't know why he ran that. Maybe the reason why he ran that was to get more people out there to enjoy what the city has, because a lot of cities don't have what we have. And I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent to have more people out there enjoying it. And then the more people you have, the more they're talking to their friends and about spreading the news about the new bridges. I mean, the course is amazing. And for us not to be able to have more people out there to see it, that's where.
Do you think maybe the difference is they feel like it's cheaper if they're playing under a membership than if they're paying for the green fees?
I think if you look at anybody, if they're after a value, whether they play or not, they're gonna say, man, that's a pretty good value. I'll go ahead and run the risk.
Yeah. Well, this model that we have, and this goes back a long ways.
I know I'm upsetting the apple cart here, so I
Yeah.
understand.
Well, it's the way that we're set up as, we're not a golf course that's private and that we depend upon memberships. We very much depend upon greens fee paying public, but we do offer memberships. But it's kind of a balance there that we've maintained over the years. And we've had a policy that says we don't give away green fees. One is, it's not our money, it's the city's money. I mean, that's part of what the city is providing as a service, and that's how they get funded, is through those green fees and through those memberships. So the reason has been, and I've made this argument for the last 40 years, once we start giving away things to nonprofits, you can imagine nonprofits come forward and say, hey, we want to raise a fundraiser. And if we could do this as a nonprofit, we can take all these funds and obviously make a larger contribution to the nonprofit. But once we start that, where do you draw the line? And I would say, where do we draw the line with memberships? What constitutes a church membership that makes it any different than any other membership that you're part of in the city of Pryor that wants to come forward and say, oh, you do these for the churches. Why don't you do these for this group? Well, what we'll do is we'll upset this balance that we have. And we're very dependent upon these green fees. I don't know how many rounds we have paying green fees now. Dennis, do you know roughly what the annually?
17,000.
Okay. So 17,000 times the green fee, if you run that in your head, that's a lot of money that supports that golf course.
So $17,000, is that just green fees?
No,
No.
17,000.
Oh, 17,000 paid rounds, is that just people coming in without a membership at all?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll be the first one to tell you, I appreciate your thoughtfulness and wanting to get as many people out to that golf course and enjoy it, because that's what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when we first started this corporate membership, they've always had a corporate membership, even before I came, but there was some gray areas, so I had, when Mayor Trammell was in office, I had him define how we do a corporate membership, and the way he defined it was it had to be a full-time employees at the business. And so that is on our membership. I apologize if our staff told you wrong, or didn't tell you correctly, but that is on the membership, full-time employees. And that's what we've always gone by.
And we used to have an industrial league, golf league,
Correct.
that the various companies out there, the corporations, that's what they did, kind of working with the other companies. They came in and they ran like an industrial softball league, or, different things. But we just historically have had a policy that said we don't give away green fees, and they're not looking to give them away. But when we get into this membership, that's what we run into, is trying to figure out where to draw the line. And once we start down this path, we just have to recognize when somebody comes forward, what's going to be our decision-making criteria to say you qualify and you don't. And the easiest thing to do is just say, we don't do that. And I know it may not seem right, but it's something that we felt like we need to do to maintain the financial integrity of this golf course.
Yeah, I think you run the chance of opening this whole thing up to a public discounted membership, because there's so many people and so many organizations. I mean, that's a great idea, great thought, and a great opportunity for some people at churches and things like that to play and maybe play more. But you're just going to probably open the whole membership thing up to public people, just the general public, because all the churches and all the other Sertoma Club, Lions Club, all those other organizations have a lot of people out there, and so I think you've got to be careful on what we might dilute the revenue stream by.
What, for instance, how long has the Sertoma Club or Lions Club had that tournament out there at your golf course?
Oh, Lions Club, we're on don't quote me, but I think the 18th year, we just did the 18th year, maybe starting the 19th year.
And have they ever asked for it?
No.
I think most people realize corporate membership is corporate. It's businesses. I think it was, like Chris said, probably set up for them the industries out there and, in the beginning. I like the idea of the marketing piece that you're talking about, getting more people out there. I think Dennis is doing a pretty good job of getting people out there. We're seeing the numbers go up all the time. And maybe there's an opportunity somehow to entice the churches and the members and the students, maybe do some type of special event for them at some point, you know, for them to get out there and see it. There's other ways we can look at this. I just don't think the corporate membership is the right direction.
So is there a discounted rate to talk about, or say, if they are part of an organization, they get
I don't
a
know.
discounted price? I mean,
That'd be up to Dennis, but I would think like doing something, you know, once a month on a Wednesday night, or pick a day where you could
A
open it up
discounted
to
rate
do a
or something.
discounted
No, that's
rate
not a
for
bad
them or
idea,
something, you know,
Sherry.
just an event type thing.
That's not
Well,
a
we
bad
do
idea.
already have twilight rates,
Correct.
Yeah, that's true.
that you can play twilight at a discounted rate. Is it 3 in the afternoon? I can't remember what.
Yeah, right, it's 3 o'clock, and it's $16.50 to play.
Just
Does not include the cart, but if you play, include the cart for 9 holes, it's $26.50.
Well, that's something that would be up to you, but I would look at your month and what it looks like, or your weeks, and see what days are really slow and what you can do to entice play at that point. Maybe, you know, do something like that with the church communities, or, I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, just to get more people out there, and
Right.
the more people you have, the more opportunity, I suppose. So,
Tuesday, Wednesdays typically are our slow evenings.
any other discussions or questions, or?
I'm just glad it got in front of you guys, really and truthfully.
You know,
Pryor's a town that kind of set in its ways, so
Well,
I appreciate it, and
Well,
we'll
you're
look
thinking
at some
outside
other.
the box,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
gotta
think
hand
a
it
lot
to
of
you.
people like to talk about it behind closed doors. It's another thing to stick your neck out here and come in front of
Sure.
people
Yeah,
and
see what-
Absolutely.
yeah,
and
well,
really
it's
talk
not
about
a-
it.
Thank you for coming.
I don't think it's a dead issue, but I mean, it's something we can definitely talk about, try to get with Dennis and set up something.
Yeah, and
I mean, maybe there is something we could talk about to,
Like a family night or something.
yeah, sure.
That's a
I mean,
great
I'll be, you know, one thing my wife has been saying, a women's night, she said, you know, to get more women golfers,
Yeah,
that
'cause
she's,
guys don't
she's
like to
wanting to
play
learn,
behind
and she's wanting a women's night to where they go out and,
so the
It's
$179, what was that for? I mean, that was the best deal I've ever seen. You talk about green fees and giving stuff away, I'm not throwing this back
what was
at
it, 4
you,
or 5 years
but
ago, we actually
Lord
did
have
that.
mercy.
A little longer than that.
Woo.
You
Yeah.
may
It's
say-
been a while.
That was
I wanna say-
free
It
golf.
may have been longer than that, I don't know how many, it is a long.
I wish you could have been here for the discussion.
No, I'm telling you,
I will say.
Yeah.
I'm not
Did it go
wanting
on
to
and
throw
on?
something back
yeah.
at you, but that right there, I just couldn't, it made a non-golfer become, hey, I'll go get a set of, I was about to say a pair of clubs.
Yeah.
Get a set of clubs and go out there and just try my best.
It also
So-
made some of the existing members very angry.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of this
Yeah.
going on during that time.
People saying, why am I been here playing for 30 years
You
and
know,
you're
I-
letting this person come on?
Yeah.
We had all kinds of arm wrestling and discussions
Yeah,
on this, but if
I know.
you knew how the golf industry was back then, this was after Tiger Woods had been injured and got off the course. Golf was headed, we didn't know where it was headed. We thought it maybe was gonna crash and burn because play dropped dramatically. But we've been able to bring it back over the years with just a lot of hard work, this being one of them. And I was one of them that said, I think this is crazy, but we did it, and we make money every year, which we never had in the past. So,
Well, I think
Yeah.
this is a really good conversation to bring up. And
Yep.
I think
Yeah,
it-
absolutely.
I
Starts the
think it'll
conversation.
spur more,
Maybe there's,
there will be something come from it.
and it was nice to work with you through the mayor. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we had something going, and like I said, we got it in front of the, I don't know, I'll probably keep a copy of one of those.
Hey, I- really
Thank you, guys.
thank you.
All right, so it was discuss possibly recommend council action to offer discounted group membership rates for churches at the golf course. So,
Do we have to vote on it or make
Yeah.
a motion?
we'll have to,
If you're not taking any action, you don't need to vote.
No, it was just
Okay.
discussion.
so we'll just take no action
So
on
no
that, on number 9. All right, Dennis. back to your golf carts updates, Mayor.
The mayor asked me to get some quotes, so we went back and got quotes for these golf carts. And it's hard, you know, we're not comparing apples to apples, but I would have made y'all copies, but apologize for that. So there's the Yamaha. They have a cash payment option. And that's, all three of these quotes will be, for 60 golf carts, so increasing our fleet 10 more carts, which is, I think, you know, if this summer we'd had 10 extra carts. I was trying to figure out, you know, it probably could have produced another $300 a day on weekends.
It's slim sometimes, doesn't it?
So $600 a weekend real easily. And then on tournaments, it would have created probably another $800-900 a day. So just because, you know, you add another 20 people,
Yeah.
instead of having 100 people, you can actually have 120. And the way our business has been going, we could have used that, so.
Did anybody else quote them, or?
Yeah, here's these, I got,
So you have 3 quotes?
yes, I got Easy Go right here, and Easy Go's is really a little bit easier to read and understand. It is a draft, he said he's just waiting on his final approval.
So how much was the Yamaha?
Now, are these quoted lease and purchase?
Yes.
Okay.
So, let me get it right here.
Like it's 60 payments,
Right,
89.12 per unit, is that right?
right, that's the golf carts.
Is that a lease then?
Yep.
And then the maintenance carts is $190.44 per unit, which is a payment of $571.33.
Now, which one's that?
That's the maintenance carts, Yamaha maintenance carts. So we got 60 golf carts, 3 maintenance carts that we need to replace.
Oh, okay.
So $5,300.
So your bottom line is how much to buy them and how much, what's the lease rate?
So their lease rate is on there. Let me pull it up on my phone.
I
For
think
some
you
reason,
can
I
do a
printed it.
spreadsheet on this and let us know what each one of these are, so we can, this would be a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it would have been.
Apples.
Yeah.
60 months.
I don't see a rate.
So I still have an issue with going out to quote on these instead of going out to bid. And I know that it was stated that they're vehicles, but you can't register them, you don't tag them, you can't drive them on the highway. So to me, they're not a vehicle. They're a utility, I don't know what you would call it, but I don't consider it a utility, I don't consider it a vehicle in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know how that's gonna go over with purchasing policy if it's not considered a vehicle, and this is obviously over 25,000.
So what are you saying?
The mayor wants to
Got
speak
three.
on it. We did,
We don't
At
need
first
3 bids, or you do need, what do you?
On a
Well-
quote, we don't, and they are from the words of the
Doesn't hurt to have the bids regardless.
mayor.
According to the purchase policy, if it's over 25,000, it has to go to bid, a
So
sealed bid.
here's where I'm at with this. And again, I'll say it, and I'm gonna stand behind it 100%. For the longest time, and Dennis and I had this conversation, as hard as it may be to swallow, we have heard, we're just going with this because there's this connection, there's that connection. Is that not what we talked about? So the idea is, let's show that we're actually going out for the right thing, the right deal. Let's make sure that we've got multiple options on the lease purchase. Remember again, we need to be specific. It's a lease purchase, not a lease, not a purchase. Because we cannot borrow the money traditionally. So what we've also got, and you'll see there, is that I also asked Dennis to make sure that the various financial institutions would even finance what was brought to the table. Otherwise, we're just going with the first one that came, and what we see on those, it's not apples to apples. So we wanted to make sure that before we even get into this, that we're even headed the right direction. we still have the ability to go out and bid. We still have the trade-in values that have to be assessed. We still have all of these things. But to just blindly go out and say, we're just gonna take quotes and whatever we get is what we get, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing, but we also need to quash this rumor that we're just out there buying to buy because that's what we have and there's a connection here, there's a connection there. This is making sure that we're doing our research before we go out, that we're looking for the right specs, that the things we want are only provided in this one type of vehicle. Sorry, I'm gonna call it a vehicle because that's what I wanna call it. The idea is that we're headed down the right path if we say, we wanna spec out the Yamaha or we wanna spec out the E-Z-Go. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for what are we buying off of this. This isn't our buying process. This is the due diligence that hasn't been done building up to, we want this gas cart that has this feature, that does this, goes this fast, has this motor. This is what we're looking for. Now, we know that bank A, B, and C will finance us. Now we're gonna go out and we're gonna bid that out. It's not
So the idea is to go out for sealed bids after you get a quote?
correct.
So do we don't consider these bids?
No,
No,
those are
these are
quotes.
quotes.
Because, why? Help me understand.
Because we're not, yeah, they're just quotes. So the way I see it, we're not ready to buy right this minute, right? So interest rates could change. We could get all those things. We know though that the banks will finance. We know that we've got at least 3 institutes that we can go to that'll do that. One is Yamaha themselves. One is RCB, one is Bank of Commerce, right?
Let me ask this, why are we gonna finance them? Do we not have the money to buy them?
I think what we find is that no. I think what we're looking at is the lower monthly payments rather than the outright purchase, kind of spread the capital out a little further. And I think that's what you guys had discussed the last meeting was that by going with the lease purchase, rather than making that one large payment of $300,000 right up front, we're making a couple $1,000 a month payment.
Well, I mean, anytime you finance, there goes a cost with that.
Absolutely,
It
100%.
probably exceeds the cost of funds you have laying around, so that was my question. If you have the funds laying around, why don't you just buy them and then reimburse yourself?
Do we have 300,000 laying around?
Huh?
Do we have 300,000 laying around?
Do
I
we?
don't think so.
I didn't
So
Or does that take away from other capital things that might happen over the next 3 years while you
That will
reimburse?
absolutely.
Those things. I wasn't here at the last meeting, so. I'm trying to catch
And I'm
up.
not advocating this, but the way that you'd handle that is, that's what working capital is.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've used all your money for your capital, you can always go in and, most businesses have a working capital that they get, and they get it when they need it. I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying there's different ways.
Establish a sinking fund of.
You establish a sinking fund, and you're putting that money back ever and building it up. So the next time, you've got the capital then. And you don't get yourself, it's not like having your own cash box. You say, I'm out of cash, you can always borrow the money on an as-needed basis, but eventually you pay it back, you can pay an interest rate on it. But it sounds like to me, this is encouraging because I think what you guys are saying is we're gonna do some due diligence around this.
Yeah, that's,
We're gonna look at the specs on what it is we want out of it, the type of cart with what features. And we're gonna look at it if we go a lease route, lease purchase, or if we go a purchase route. And we're gonna have all this information in front of us, because I think that will, that's one of the things I think we wanna know a little more about too is, what about maintenance on this? How's maintenance taken care of? And Dennis, you know these answers.
I got.
We don't know
This
these
afternoon, this morning, you sent these to me?
Yes.
I think also what you find in here, sorry, I'm taking the liberty to come in here, is we've got, a touch of quotes on the, what those payment plans could look like. They also tell us basically, what we're looking at for warranty things. So, this is a scenario, I'm not saying right one way or the other, I'm just hypothetically, if we look at this and we find out that the warranty on the E-Z-Go or the Cushman far exceeds what we would get out of our Yamahas, then is that something we want to take into consideration? And do we want something that we spec out that says, we want something that's going to have this
So now, do all of those are those all lease agreement, like lease purchase where they have maintenance built in? Or is it some of them do and some of them don't?
It depends on, they quoted us an outright purchase, hey, trade your 50 carts in, and then here's, what we'll give you for them, and you buy them.
That's fairly simple and
Right,
straightforward.
and then, or you lease them from them, do a lease purchase with $1 buyout at the end, and here's your payments.
Right, with
And
the
there's
interest
certain
and-
things that the lease covers and certain things it won't.
But I think, Mayor, what you're bringing up is really, what we need to do is, we need to think through the total cost of ownership of these carts.
Correct.
Because the electrical, when you're talking about, you raid, what's the difference between an electric cart and a gas cart?
And
One is we're
maintenance.
buying gasoline, we're out there having to store gasoline, we're having to fill them up every night. I mean, electrical carts, I'm not advocating it, but I'm saying those are differences. Total cost of ownership is what's my warranty cost, what's it gonna take, what's the break fix? Put all that together, and that total cost of ownership, I think would be ideal, that when we make a decision, we can look at that and go,
It's hard to get to apples and apples on this, there's a lot of moving parts.
it is, but you know what? Every business does it.
Oh, yeah.
Correct me
This
if
is
I'm,
how they do this is how they do
You
it.
gotta-
what we have right now is it gas?
Yes.
Okay,
The reason
so
why
we don't-
have
And you
gas
want
is
gas.
Yeah.
Cost of ownership is a lot less on gas, because the trade-in value is so much higher. Because
Then-
with the battery part, after 4 years, our batteries are dead.
Yeah.
We have to buy
Batteries are expensive.
They are
You have
Well,
to
and I was,
Yeah,
the
it's
charging is like, how much
$1,200
is
a
your
cart,
electric bill gonna
So
be?
your cart is worth $800 instead of,
I used to sell those batteries, and I can
So-
confirm that a golf cart
We are
battery
going
is
after
3 to 4
all,
times the price of a regular.
Gas.
Electric carts or gas carts? We're
Gas
gonna go
carts.
for all gas carts.
Right, go back.
That
That's
decision,
my
that's your
recommendation,
recommendation, okay, so
the
that
cost
levels
of
it out a little
ownership
bit.
is so much better.
I have a basic question about the structure of the golf course. Does the city receive 100% of the golf cart rentals?
Yes, they receive 100% of it, but then they pay back 10% for the maintenance and cleaning that we do.
So you're paid
Say that
10%?
again.
CMS is.
Okay, CMS is paid 10% of golf cart rentals.
Does that make sense to you?
No,
It
tell me
does.
what that means.
Well, that means these carts come in, and they pull them up beside the shed, and the golfer walks off of them and goes and gets in the vehicle and goes home. And the golf cart's sitting there, so it may need to be washed.
Right,
It's gotta be gassed up.
yeah.
It's gotta be, you have to go get it. Yeah, you've gotta,
Isn't
Do
that
the ma-
part of what these kids are paid to do?
And they're paid by CMS,
Okay,
they're not paid by the golf course.
So CMS gets 10%, and they have the responsibility, it's like a maintenance contract on to keep turning. And who is CMS?
Course Management Systems, my wife's company.
Okay,
She's the one that has the pro shop lease also.
right, okay. And she provides all the labor for all of that, and,
Correct.
okay.
and I'll tell you why we're talking about this, because this is something that can blindside you when you first go, well, wait, why would you do that? CMS also takes all the green fees, and they staff the pro shop. The city used to have to staff that pro shop from daylight to dark with city employees.
Yeah.
We ran the numbers on it, and we found out it's a lot cheaper to use the staff that's in there running the pro shop than to have our own people that we hire as employees and put them in there. Now, some people will look at that don't have the information and go, why would you be letting somebody else handle the money? Well, as it turns out, it's significant savings.
Insurance, something like that.
Yeah, insurance, employee issues,
Yeah.
staffing. I mean, somebody has to go, they do the hiring and put the people in. We don't have to mess with that anymore.
Well, benefit of that.
There's a lot of benefit and you reduce your employee cost. And the way though that we decided to pay it was, we paid it as part of maintaining the carts,
Okay.
maintaining,
And so, I think we need kind of a spreadsheet, I agree. Try to get it as apples to apples as we can get it, and then use some.
Just from what I looked at, it was almost $700 difference from Yamaha to EasyGo. And EasyGo was $700 higher.
Can you get two quotes from EasyGo from two different sales groups, or can you only?
Their territory.
Yeah.
It's
I did-
territory, they're
Person pays for
restricted,
his
okay.
territory,
There's not too many people that sell golf carts. I was because I looked at that too. There's not as many as you thought.
Now, Dennis, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you have any children working for any of these companies?
No,
Okay, thank you.
not that I know of.
Okay.
Well, I think we're all on the same page here about what information we're trying to get together.
Can I throw this out there? Dennis, you know I love you, so just deal with what I'm about to say. Share your question,
I hear it all the time.
but your question is the exact reason that I asked for this task to be done.
I understand.
So with all the concern that I have, I think it's in the best interest of the city to quash that and make sure that going forward, that's not an issue for us. So when people start rumors and people start negative talk and, well, Dennis has got a boy, listen,
Yeah. This is how we squash rumors, though. Mayor,
Yes.
Is we ask the question in front of everybody, we get the answer,
True.
and we can move forward and we can answer it.
correct. And so the idea is we wanted to make sure that that was out there and that that was cleared and that that air is no longer needing to be laundered. That said, it's fair game now when we go out for the bidding, however we want to do that. And if that really is the right way to do it, then that's the right way to do it, and those bids will reflect when that time to bid is put out. So, I wasn't gonna say it, but thank you for your question, because that's really was the goal, and is that not exactly what I told you in my office?
Yes, yeah,
So,
no big deal to me. I
We
mean,
just wanted to make sure that it's not just, it really has nothing to do with, it has to do with the city and the way that we operate, and we want to make sure that we are clear and transparent on that. So,
You know, we're not changing anything that's going on, we're just looking to get new golf carts, trying to get them apples.
well, new plus 10 more, 'cause-
Yeah, plus get them as close as we can so that we can use some discretion and make a good recommendation to the council on.
Well-
These seem to fit best with Dennis's. Dennis has got a lot of input in here on why
Yes,
this
sir.
might be better and why this can't be. When you can't go to apples and apples, you gotta rely on the people that know.
correct.
Did you say there were 3 different quotes, though? Is
Yes.
Yamaha, EasyGo?
Yeah, the other one I just got, hadn't had time to print it out yet. It's
What's-
on my phone here.
what's
Club
it?
card,
Club car, okay.
yeah. So he
And
sent
I
it to
don't-
me.
Did you send, I didn't see that one. I don't think.
He just sent it to me.
I'm assuming all of them have different features. They don't all have the same, so
Yeah,
it's
there's
like you said,
nobody-
it's not apples to apples.
Nobody makes it.
You got
So-
them as close as you
Exactly.
can get.
So we kind of have the same scenario going on with our facilities and buying mowers, and one of the things we're talking to Frank with on this is where the council has requested, go out for sealed bids on a mower, figure out what if we want gas or diesel, okay, let me tell you what that looks like. We gotta put out sealed bids for gas mowers, and we gotta put sealed bids out for diesel mowers. Do we want gas mowers with hydraulic decks? Do we want press decks? There's certain scenarios where we gotta do a lot more due diligence before we just go out and say, give me sealed bids. And so as Jay and I today, we were trying to put that together on what does that request for bids look like? Do we want one that only goes, what was it, Jay? 3 or 4 miles an hour, or do we want one that goes 10 miles
This
an
is
hour?
just to get your specs down.
Right, so if we don't know what it is we're looking for,
Can't get it.
we could be opening Pandora's box to the nth degree.
Sure.
And we may not really be doing ourselves any good because we're just going, send to me. So I think this was the right, this is why I've advocated for it. I think it was the right thing to do. It clears a lot of the air. And I think from here now we can look at what can we receive when we're ready for trade-in values on the 50 that we have, and how does that look going forward. We know that we can go to our local banks, which have been fabulous partners of the city, and we can talk to them about what kind of rates and what kind of financing we can do with them on a lease purchase. So,
And
I would
did get that
encourage,
today.
Dennis, I'd encourage you on these leases, they have a lease finance rate in there somewhere. You just have to ask them, what's your lease finance rate?
Yeah,
What's the
it's
rate
on
on
here.
that? What's your interest rate? Because it's there. I didn't see it on there, they just
Bank-
kind of put it in with the number, but there's a lease finance rate involved in all that.
Yeah, the Bank of Commerce was 4.75, RCB was 4.65. I think Yamaha, I had it right here, but I'll put all that on a
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
okay.
They were a
I
little
was
higher.
looking on that one and couldn't find it, so I don't know. Sometimes they don't do
5.65.
that, so,
I think they're 5.65 for their municipal leases.
yeah.
And I'll tell you one more is typically you'll have a salvage value on something like this at the end of the lease. Who gets to determine the value?
Is it, if it's a finance lease, there's no. If it's a true lease, then you're just leasing what is the utility of that asset over the time based off of what the value is at the end. But these are finance leases, are they not?
I think that has to be a lease purchase.
Lease
Yeah.
purchase.
It's a lease
Has to be a
purchase. So
lease
at the end of
purchase.
Yeah, at the end it's done, or is it in, you got a purchase price?
No, it's at the end, it's done,
Yeah, okay, it's a finance.
So usually a lease purchase with $1 buyout.
Yeah,
which there's no.
I think that's the only legal way I think the city can borrow the money.
yeah, that makes it a lot easier.
The only other thing I have to say on this is if we get to choose the lender, you know, Yamaha may have some great deal, whatever, it might be better for the course, but I would highly suggest we use a local
Yeah.
bank.
That's what we did last
We
time.
need to always stay local as much as we can.
I think we just go find the money, city's got some money laying around somewhere.
Last time we used RCB Bank, and this time so far they're the lowest rate right now.
I don't wanna mess up this bathroom project.
You know what?
We can't mess up the bathroom project.
Yeah, that's true.
That's more important.
So just to kind of help us,
Takes away from other capital stuff.
the next step will be, you'll be coming back with,
Spreadsheet.
some spreadsheet that kind of covers
Simulates all this, yeah.
just, I keep doing the same, total cost of ownership of what we're gonna sell the old ones for, what features and functionality we need. We've got prices for lease purchase. We've got a way to determine how we're going to value the cart. Because the turn-in, I mean, whatever we turn those, whatever we sell those for at the end of the lease, that has to do with, you know, what's the resale value? Has a lot to do with
Yep.
the value of that, so I think that'd be good for the city and good for the golf course, to have that as a model.
Can we talk to Enterprise about including golf carts?
Do what?
I did it, they don't.
Yeah.
Well, it was just a discussion, it's kind of get an idea, have some updates on it. I know that we've talked about it and we got quotes, but I would like to move on it sometime soon because if golf carts need to, but we're at a point to where we need to start getting golf carts. It's time and
Yeah.
it'd be nice if even if we ordered them this next month, it would be what?
At least 60 days, and like I said,
At the
Yeah.
slowest time of the year to start it, but we need to really,
We need to do it.
by the first of the year, it would be nice to have them in place so we can go off with the first year with new golf carts.
during our busy time, the difference between 50 and 60 golf carts, those 10 difference probably makes $2,000 a month, just not having those 10.
Any other questions, discussions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dennis.
Number 10, discuss possible recommend council action allowing Life Fellowship Church to host a Halloween candy crawl on October 31st, 2025 at Woodford Park and Centennial Park. Are you with that? Come up and visit with us.
So I'm Jennifer Meyer. I'm the local engagement director for Life Fellowship Church. And so last year we did our first candy crawl. We partnered with the Chamber in Main Street and we set a booth up there. And the kids came through and we passed out maps, and the maps led to different houses in the community. And they would get stamps, and at the end of the night they were at Whitaker Park, and we had a kind of festival style of bounce houses and popcorn and just, and then you turn in your map and you get, we had big free prizes. And so the kind of the idea behind that is we wanted to provide something for the community, especially family oriented, because even before I started working for the church as a mom and then other moms and just families, there was a lot of, well, there's not a lot of stuff for the kids to get to do, or some family stuff that's considered safe, especially on Halloween. So we thought, well, let's give it a try and see if we can't do something fun with the community. So we had that. So I wanted to just formally ask permission from you guys, if it's okay if we could utilize Whitaker Park. The idea with Centennial Park was possibly if we needed, well, at the moment we have 4 houses guaranteed that they would be able to let kids come in and do the candies and the stamps. But we were concerned with, the parking and the flow of trick-or-treaters is kind of crazy. So we were trying to come up with some ideas about how possibly, maybe if we had a couple of places at Centennial, maybe that would help relieve some of the issues with the flow of traffic in the smaller areas. So that's why I mentioned Centennial Park, but we haven't really set anything in stone at the moment. We're getting approval from different things and working on other stuff. But anyway, but the goal is just to, ask you guys if it would be okay to set back up at Whitaker Park again, and if that would be okay with you, and just to be present if you had any concerns or questions from last year, or any questions at all. I'm here to try to do my best to answer those.
How much of the park are you gonna take?
Well, I know that last year, I'm trying to remember, I think we mostly were in between, so I know next to the basketball court, we had pumpkins. This year we're not gonna do the pumpkins. But the Paint the Pumpkin was set, all the pumpkins were set up next to the basketball court, and then we had the kids out on the basketball court, and they were painting there. And then out in that big grassy area between that and probably the duck pond is where we had most of everything, and that's probably where we would put our inflatables again. So that's probably, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the park. Does that make sense? I'm trying to think spatially.
Okay.
So not the whole park, but just kind of that front where the Park Street is, just kind of right in there.
I don't think that there's a problem with Whitaker. I would only worry about Centennial. Are we gonna be causing an issue with the whole not wanting, because you're doing inflatables? And I know that's a temporary thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, not in Centennial.
Not at Centennial.
I think it's a great idea.
I
I would like to see our kids be centered around something like that we don't have to worry they're going to some
Right.
crack house and getting something
sure.
they shouldn't. So,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
I'm gonna advocate for this because
me too.
No,
you did an
yeah.
amazing job. My kids went and participated in this. My kids went, listen, we all know trick-or-treating is exhausting for the adult, and sometimes you're like, no, you don't need to go down that street. But what was cool was the compact of the kids that were at the park and in those areas where we knew that they were at. We knew that they were in safe places. There was no doubt. The activities were wholesome, good, solid recreational activities. If we had more of that, I think we would see a better, more productive Halloween. I mean, it is Halloween. It is about, how do we have a safer, healthier Halloween gathering candy. But the safer part for me is that the kids were together. They were in a place, we were able to put law enforcement there. We had some firefighters that could kind of, instead of just being out driving and taking up roadways. But what that also did was that decompacted some of those other areas that tend to be, when we lived on Ridgewood, the first couple of years that we were there, they would literally come in buses and unload there. Yes, Marietta, exactly like that. And so
Can't get home, you just have to stay home, sit on the front
Park
porch
Street
and
is
look.
like that,
it
yeah.
decompressed some of those areas, made it more safe in those areas because there was less vehicle traffic. But everybody was happy and it worked well. If they wanted to do something at Centennial, look, I'm gonna say it one time, it's our park. We
I
can do
agree.
it.
I agree.
But I think the more that we can centralize these kind of activities nowadays, I think that's
Good
healthy.
deal.
I think that's
Agree.
healthy, and it shows community.
Sure.
The other thing it'll do, with the placer data that we can do later, is we can come back and say, we had this many kids participating in Halloween this year. So it gives us metrics, it gives us a number if we kind of corral them. The ones that want to go door to door, you're not going to stop them. You're not, but I think it's healthy, and why
Are
not
there
just,
specific homes that they go to, or?
Yes, they're
Yeah.
all church members. I even reached out to him and his wife and asked to see if they were available. But yeah, they're all church members that we all know very well. And So far, I've got 4 houses. We were hoping to get 6 this year, but I haven't been able to get 2 extra. But Centennial Park, the idea was maybe having just a couple of candy stations. It wasn't inflatables or anything big. Maybe stations set up each side of the parking, you know, where the parking area is for both sides. And that was just kind of an idea we threw around. It wasn't anything permanent, but I thought if we could utilize it, it might be a good spot.
Sure.
And there's a lot of kids out that direction because of the school,
Yes, yes.
so I
And
make a
then we've
motion that
also-
we do it.
Did you have any issues last year? I didn't hear of any.
No, we never heard of any complaints. I was there, I was downtown for quite a while. Gosh, I think I was out there from 3 to almost 10 o'clock, set up and breakdown anyway. But it seemed like everybody loved it, and we were getting a lot of good feedback and how the families were enjoying it. And so no, we didn't get any feedback that was bad. The only thing that we were trying to think about was the traffic again, because the traffic's always an issue, but I don't really know how to solve that. We were communicating with
Whether they do it or not.
the Catholic Church, possibly going to ask if we needed to, maybe they would let us do some parking over there instead of having the parking, all the cars pushed out, because we have a few houses down close to Centennial Park, actually, that are that will have as destinations. So.
Any other questions?
Is the Centennial Park a consideration or just under consideration that you're going to go there, or is it planned to do that?
There's not a plan to do that. It was just a little brainstorming and thought, well, if this is going to cause so much congestion, would it be better to move it over a couple of places?
Spread it out.
To spread it out a little bit so there's just not, the streets aren't clogged so badly.
Gotcha.
So that was just kind of the idea behind it.
I made a motion. I think it would be great both places if you end up needing both places.
Okay.
Sure, you second.
And
Any
to
other
be
discussion?
clear, is that to allow the use of Whitaker Park and Centennial Park?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pam and Sherry.
You
Pam,
ready?
yep.
Graybill,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Buffington,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Graves,
Yes.
Shelby.
Yes,
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
no problem.
Thank you.
Number 11, discussion regarding plans for the old city pool. Mayor, any ideas? Last time I'll have you up here, I promise.
I was gonna say, did you hear that collective
guys on
sigh?
board?
All of us.
Everybody's like, well, we gotta talk about
Well,
And I need to say this because I did reach out to Mike to confirm. I stand corrected, the rec does offer corporate memberships only. So they do have the corporate memberships with the Cherokee Nation, and that's there, so. Anyways, to your question, it's a lot of talk, a lot of ideas floating around. You know, I'd gone off to an event in Midwest City, and one of the things that they had talked about at their pool was that they had this new state-of-the-art, they called it a weld, that they applied to their pool. It was very expensive, and I asked if that would, in a scenario like our pool, if that would be a temporary fix. Yes and no, but the cost is still outrageously high. The idea is, you know, what do we do at that area? You know, if we're not going to use the pool, obviously we don't just leave it there to rot, right? So ideas have floated around about with the pool task force and some of these other groups. What can we do? If we remove the pool, can we put an amphitheater there? It's my understanding that used to be an amphitheater. I'm in high favor of something like that. If we're going to take a gathering place, we give a gathering place. The more hypothetical dinner tables that we have in our community, the more we can bring people together. But what a perfect place for, you know, an evening like tonight where it's cool and cloudy and the jazz band wants to play some music and they can just go out there and sit and their families can watch.
Or movie in the.
Movies,
yeah,
exactly.
Movie in the park.
And so the cool thing with that is something like that can be done at a minimal cost with, you know, you don't need fancy elaborate. You just give an area for a stage or a platform, some seating, or even just turn the hill into grass seating, whatever you need to do. There's a lot of ideas, but those are the kind of things floating around. The main thing is that that pool will probably be removed. It's gonna be a cost, it's gonna be expensive.
Do we know, do we
Idea.
have a cost on?
No, we don't. You know, the numbers that we had originally were way before, I think when Jimmy was still here. And we had Paddock come and look at that, and it was, you know, that was when it was like $1.8 million to repair it and $1.8 million to replace it. Those numbers are, they're so far,
That much to,
do what?
it wouldn't necessarily be that much to tear it down and,
Not to
Well,
tear it
I
down.
think there was a number, and this came from Larry, when Larry was in office.
Which
I
one?
think it was a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
To remove,
No.
yeah, no,
To remove.
to remove.
To remove,
No,
yeah.
the numbers I just gave, I did not say remove, I
no,
said,
you said replace or,
no, to repair
yeah.
or to replace, so not to remove. So removing, yeah, not a bad deal, but what we've got to remember is, part of the problem with that pool area is the erosion that has taken place under the basin is, that whole area is gonna need a lot of dirt work. And so, that's gotta be calculated out, figured out, engineered.
Yeah,
That's not been done yet. So, but those are the kind of things, the main thing that I will push for is if we take that pool out, we put something in its place.
Absolutely.
Something community-minded, something that serves everybody, something that's long-term.
Is that open area beside the pool, the low area, is that flood zone?
It does flood, yeah, yeah. But that's what I'm saying, Ronnie, is like,
Well, it's in-
when I did some conversation with some that have been here forever, that area used to be, Terry, I don't know, do you know, am I correct on that, that used to be some kind of an amphitheater?
I've never heard that, but the other Terry could tell you for sure.
And yeah, so, you know, point is, it's a place of gathering for our community and it needs to stay that.
Raise it up.
So-
Yeah, I would love that,
Wouldn't that be great?
amphitheater.
Any questions?
Well, it just, you know, it was brought up and I was just, it put on for discussion, and that's just basically, what are we gonna do? I mean, it's like kick the can down the road, we've kicked it about as far as you're gonna go, we're at a point, so what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Are we to the point?
So
where-
we have stripped out about as much out of that building as we can. I know like the old water heaters that were in there, Parks Department took them and put them in their building because they needed a water heater. We've purple waved, and at this point, the next step is coming up with an engineered price on
Getting rid of it.
getting rid of it.
Okay, so where are we with the pool? Nowhere, anywhere?
No, I don't think, I
Because
mean,
my
dead
fear,
end streets.
how are we gonna deal with this? If we go ahead and get the pool
Yeah.
removed, so we put an amphitheater in,
we have
You're
a
gonna have enough
pool,
pool.
and it's there is a pool in the city. I mean, even if they go and the last talk was, put a pool by the rec center, where you got a pool by a pool.
So I just wanna throw this out. Me and my husband were in Tahlequah a couple weekends ago, and we drove by their, I don't even know what I don't remember, it was a sportsplex. And they had a pool with some slides. I mean, not a huge pool, but bigger than what we had, you know, as our city pool. But it was a decent sized pool with slides and diving boards, and then they had soccer fields right next to it, and so it was a complex. And it wasn't like, don't get me wrong, I love lazy rivers, but I mean, they didn't have this huge ginormous pool. It was a whole complex.
So, I'm gonna give the best to my understanding, and I have to say, I have not been at one of the task force meetings for this pool in a month or two. The problem that has been encountered, we know what the community wants. We know what the community would expect. We know what we'd like to do. We also know that the most basic of pools is 20 million plus.
Oh, yeah.
So at that, the pool task force, and Chris, I don't know, are you still attending those? So you jump in, but the idea is take an element away, take an element away, take an element away. At one point, they had even talked about a retractable cover. Guess what? That went out the door when we found out those were over $1.5 million for just an Olympic simple retracting roof. Okay, so take away this element, take away this element. And so now what you're at is, what are we doing? I mean, like, you know, the task force is doing their job. They are working, they're researching, they're traveling to other communities, they're visiting, they're doing that due diligence that they've been asked to do. But the problem is now we're getting to where, because of the cost of pools now, it's just a matter of,
How are we gonna fund it?
are we gonna invest 20, 15, whatever $1 million into something, and we're not even getting close to what we really want, that later we're gonna have to keep adding to and adding to? Or do we, and I'm not saying this is it, but I'm just, discussions, right? Is this something where the city goes back out for a bond and says, hey, we have infrastructure needs, we have drainage needs, we'd like to have some kind of aquatic center. There's more than just this. I think, you know, the direction is that we've got, based on the last bond project, we've got to prove to the people of Pryor that we're going to manage these things properly.
Yeah.
And that, there's a lot of elements to that, and we can get way in the weeds, but that's not what I'm looking to do. The point is, if we're going to take that route and go out for a bond, which I think, you know, is definitely reasonable to expect, we've got to build up the confidence in the people that we're going to do it the right way. That is sending the task force out to do every last bit of due diligence on this project before we even come up with a solution, or a conclusion, I'm sorry. So in that discussion has been, what do we do with the old pool? And I've been a campaigner since day one. We pull it out, we put something in it. Something that can be used by families timelessly.
Well, we're to the point where there's 0% chance we're ever gonna use that pool for a pool.
100%.
And we're not gonna be able to afford some of the things we want in a pool for the city, okay? For an extended period of time, most likely, if you wanna be realistic. But that pool's an eyesore out there, and you
It
probably
is.
gotta take care of what you can take care of now.
Yep.
And so I like that idea, and just gonna have to belly up and get the pool out of there.
Listen, Ron, you're right up my lane. We've got to do that.
You know. I like the amphitheater idea, if
I
it all
love
works,
that.
and engineering and flood zones and all those, there's a lot of moving parts and all that stuff, so.
I think we need to start getting quotes on taking it out.
Yeah.
And then we can start looking at amphitheater, but we can't go bringing that up until we replace a pool somewhere.
Just can't twiddle our thumbs anymore on
And
some of
I
these.
haven't been to any of the pool council meetings. Is anybody talking to Cherokee Nation or Google or writing grants or doing anything?
I know that they had reached out to a lot of corporations.
Yeah, and they
the
reached out
money,
to,
I know
they
Your
guaranteed.
consultants came by, I got that, we were involved in all that, and that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking if
All I know
somebody's.
that they have a number that they could guarantee that most, people would donate to help for that, and it's shy by a long ways to help cover.
and I think
the
that's
cost.
part of what they're doing is they're looking out for, like you're asking, Sherry, they're going out, seeing what's out there. I will say, that consulting firm that we brought in, and you know, sometimes you put your hopes that it's gonna work and it's gonna give you what it is, but the response back that they got left us without really a direction to go in. We were very disappointed in the results of those surveys and questions that they got. The number of responses didn't give us enough response to say.
Was
the
it
pot is-
worth what we paid them to do that?
Should have been, but in our
Wasn't?
scenario, it didn't pay off. And that,
How much was that?
oh gosh, I want to say it was about 30,000 from start to finish. The whole analysis of how they do that. And it's a company that's tried and true. They're out of Salina, Kansas, that whole central Kansas, and they do this and they are successful. The problem was in our area, they did not get the responses back.
Surely you would think, especially with the industrial park and communities.
Yeah,
I will tell you, when they came to us, it was pretty weak.
so and I think that's part of the problem is there just wasn't, you know, some of these campaigns just don't get presented properly, and so.
Yeah, you talk to people that can really present something and they can pull you into it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of the industries they went to, and it's not like you can just walk into Google. That's a whole nother ballgame. Cherokee Nation, they're not gonna really sit down, I mean, Danny will, but that's process too. But there are grants out there, there are things that we can do to find matching funds. I think GRDA would get involved. I think there's a lot of people that would really get involved if we approached it right.
And if the right people approached them that have skin in the
Exactly.
game. People
Pam.
from Pryor, yes, I agree.
And, You know, you've been doing that for a long time.
Yes, I have.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the things that I saw, and I brought this up with the EDTA, we talked about our branding. The city of Durant, and I'm gonna use this as an example of one of the things that we've talked about going forward with this project. They created a brochure for an amphitheater park area that they wanted. And in that, every element of that was given, it was a color-coded map, right, of that project. And item 1 was the stage, and it was red, and it said, red is gonna be $50,000. Seating in this area was green. Green is gonna be 20,000. And so what they did was then they created a means for people to choose what they wanted to do, but it also created the transparency of what all of those elements cost. And so we've kind of talked about, can Pryor put something like that together? Yes, I think we can. I think once we get that branding piece, we get all those elements going, that's probably the best way to do some of these projects is put it out there and say, here's what this element will cost. Do you want to donate to that? Do you want to donate to this? We've got to be able to put it out there. But in the meantime, we got to live within our means and figure out what is doable for
I think
us.
that's a good idea, because I know a lot of corporations, if they see, okay, well, the stage, whatever, is X amount of dollars, and if they could have some kind of sponsorship for like the Google stage, or, you know, something like that they could have their name to, then they'd be more apt to say, hey, you know what, I want to fund that part of it.
Duncan, I'm sorry, it wasn't Durant, it was Duncan, I stand corrected.
Stillwater has a project like that too,
Yeah.
they've been working on it.
And I think a lot of the communities, as we've talked to them, as Adam and whatnot, we've talked to them, we're finding that a lot of them are doing this plan of, let's layer it out and show them what this project is. And they're not doing their entire city. They are targeting one project here at a time, and it seems to be working for them.
Break it
So-
down to
Even with the
manageable,
pool.
bite-sized
We don't
pieces,
have
and
to.
it's easier for people to grab a hold of.
Yeah, and even with our pool, we don't have to have big and fancy and all the
Right.
bells and
That's what
whistles to
I'm saying.
begin with.
Yes, we do.
Let's just get a pool. Well, I mean, it'd be wonderful, but if we don't have, you know, make it to where we can add that stuff on as we go.
No.
At least give our kids a
You know,
pool.
our kids are going to Muskogee right now to their water
Yeah.
park. I
Yeah.
want Muskogee to come to Pryor. This is ridiculous. I just don't get why we can't get this together.
Well, let me say, I don't want to appear that I'm playing coy here, but I've been
You
attending
know you are, Chris.
a weekly meeting with Adam and Mike Moore and myself and a lady that does business plans from Votech. And I can't remember her name right now, I apologize. But we've been working for probably good 6 or 8 months since we kind of stopped the regular meetings of the task force. And we put together what I would say is a business plan that said, let's look at, similar to what we're talking about golf carts, of if the Pryor was to do this, what amount of money would we need? Where would we get it? What would it take to run it on an annual basis?
That's awful.
How are we gonna fund it? And looking at, here's the big picture, you do have to eat this elephant one bite at a time, but how do you approach people for funding? And so there's a document that's been put together. It's pretty close to final form. And next week's meeting, maybe this coming week's meeting, we ought to see maybe the final version of that. But all these things that you guys are talking about are all things that have been brought up, discussed, and really, I would say the two people that are heading it up the most are Adam from Economic Development and Mike Moore from the Rec Center, because that's where the talk is. But there's been a whole lot of discussions. Mike has crawled all over the financials at Muskogee, visited with them. We've
Salisaw, Sapulpa, Wagner, I mean, they've been all over the region.
talked with Larry Rice about fundraising, about how to do these big programs. The challenge that we run into in Pryor is this isn't something that we do on a normal basis. We don't have people within the city who are skilled at how you run a campaign to raise this kind of money based on the scope of the project that we had coming out of the task force. So I think a lot of your questions will be answered here pretty quick. I think it will generate a lot more questions, but my experience has been, it always comes down to the money. And
So,
we can talk about all these things, but really it comes down to the money. How do you get the money? And like I said, what's it gonna take if we put this in, that the city, and we've talked about the city's probably not gonna be in a position to be able to maintain it and operate it. Because you take something this size
I think
with a lot
I
of,
think it's how it's managed. I think one of the things that I want to share while we're talking about this ideology of putting something out on a smaller scale, the tennis bathrooms at the park over by the tennis courts. You know, we're presented with a problem. These things are run down, and I feel safe talking about it because we're in the park board meeting, right? It's run down. It's beat up. They're old, and nobody will deny that they've not seen better days. Doorknobs get bashed in by people that want to vandalize. There's lack of storage. The electrical's outdated. You know, so we go out and we look at this. How do we replace it? How can we replace it? We go to the engineers and we say, what does the total cost of this project look like? And the number comes back, and it's always astonishing. It's always, whew, you know, but we're talking total from ground zero up, you know. And so what we've done is we've been able to look and work. I've got a group of community citizens. In fact, we met Sunday night.
You met yesterday.
Yep, we met. I would say there were probably about 40 people there, parents, coaches, business owners, you know, members of the EDTA were there. The idea is that at this point, here's where we're at with this project that was at once, you know, if we had to start from ground zero and redo completely, you're looking $200,000, right? The city's capital will not do that right now. We have other things that have to be taken care of. So we get to talk, we get working. We have a company that has volunteered to do all of the electrical, right? We'll do the electrical. Grateful for that. We have a company that has said, I will do the demolition. We have a company that said, I will do the plumbing. We have people that have said we can provide the mini splits. We have people now that have said we can provide all of the fixtures in that building. We have a company looking just this morning. My homework was to call Whitney and see what pricing a building, not a block structure, but a building that is a welded steel building with foam insulation. What do those look like? They're going to get back with me on a price, but what we've done is using community, we've brought that price from 200,000 plus to possibly, we might have to come up with 50,000. So what I'm getting at is, this is a thing where the more community comes together and the more people are saying, you know what, let's do this, let's do that. We find that's going to be Pryor's success. And so, yes, this is just a bathroom, but what we're doing is we're replacing a bathroom now with ADA compliant bathrooms that'll have, you know, a mechanical room, a proper storage room with a roll-up door instead of a beat-up metal door. A concessionary is what we're looking to put in there, a little spot with concessions that has an ice machine and a cooler so they can sell their waters and all those things that they do, and possibly an awning so that when it rains they can get under that or whatever it needs. Looking at those prices, looking at how we can do that as a community and not expecting the city to carry the full burden of that is much appreciated, much appreciated. And what's going to happen is we may be able to, if all the birds line up, we may be able to knock this out in 90 days and be done. And now what we've done is we've given an area where when we go and we look at the metrics of the Placer AI data, and 3/4 of the tennis year, pickleball year has elapsed, we realize there was 7,900 people in that location. That's 7,900 that had their cell phones on them. The full year, last year, was only 9,000. So what we know is that usage of those areas, just like our ball fields, we now have numbers and we say this is a priority for us. So I'm appreciative of all the people that have donated, the willingness to donate their in kind. That's really going to help the city get this done. And I think as we go forward on this pool project and we have a better idea of what we can do, then I think we'll look at probably that same method. And if that means we have to take a land donation or we have to take a concrete donation or whatever we've got to do, we've got to be willing to say, that's our avenue. That's what we need to do. And so I have let the pool task force continue to do what they're doing because I feel like they're doing it the right way. We're hearing what everybody says, and we'll get there. We will get there. We'll get
And
there.
I would just like, talking about that, that is a good way to get, a lot of these things can get built that way. Because people are, we're experiencing this at the golf course now. We got building bridges,
Yeah.
volunteer help coming out there freely putting those things in. It's pretty amazing. The challenge, and I read this in the newspaper, is, and I go back to this total cost of ownership, it's maintaining and supporting these things. And we have to, I think as a park board, something that we should think about maybe as an exercise with these golf carts is, let's put in the budget what it's going to take to maintain and support these golf carts on an ongoing basis, on an annual basis. Because the money's going to have to come from somewhere. In the paper, we're reading that it sounds like we've got a good shell of a building for the old city hall and the, what do we call it?
Grand community.
Grand Community Building. But it's going to take money to go in there and bring it back up to usable condition. And I don't know where that money's going to come from, but we get these assets, and I know the mayor hears this all the time, but we need to think about it too. Building these things is one thing, but maintaining them and supporting them so that they can continue to be used is the Achilles heel that our municipality has dealt with. And we've got examples of it across town that we're dealing with now. But if we don't start dealing with that up front when we build them, we're just passing the buck to somebody down the road that they're going to be deteriorated again. So somehow we need to budget for it when we build them, how we're going to maintain them. So we need to think about that too with the golf course and whatever it is we end up doing here. With these bathrooms, they are something that, we talked about building it, but if you ask Frank, what Frank's going to tell you, who's going to go down there and clean those things? He says, I don't have the people. So depending on how many, and I know all of us would go, surely, Frank, you can go down there and spend 30 minutes. Well,
Did they not already clean them? I mean,
we're
have
talking
some-
about the new one.
Okay.
I'm talking about, it's just another,
Just another
Facility.
Just layers.
yeah.
But also understand that these conversations are taking place on things that we've done wrong, not necessarily to a fault, but the doors on the bathrooms at the park. How long have we been hearing this conversation about we need a better way to lock them? Why didn't the police lock them? Why didn't the park lock them? Who's going to go at night? Who's going to open them? The vagrants are, so what we're looking at in the Capitol this year, in Frank's Capitol, and you'll see it,
Electronic.
is we're looking at a system of locks that use, what's there. They said magnetic. Last night, one of the people at this meeting said, do not use the magnetic because they bust them. Now you have to replace. Those are the insight that we want to hear.
Gotcha.
So we have options we're going to look at, but finding ways to remote lock and unlock and secure. Cantrell's looking at systems that can extend our viewing to the park, to these places that would allow dispatch to keep an eye on those. Again, I'll say it again tonight for those that don't know. They can see a lot throughout the city in dispatch. There are means for them to see things. If we can put an eye on those bathrooms, that's another layer of protecting it. Meanwhile, we're working on, just general beautification and capital upkeep. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think we look at what we can do with that pool area, kind of bring it back to home base here. What we can do with that pool, I am for looking at what we need to do to move on from that pool.
That's one of the things I think we need to, I think that's our next steps in understanding that there is a plan for some type of aquatic center coming up. And where the old pool is, we need to identify what we're going to do in that area. And I think it's a great idea. I like the amphitheater. I'm very on board with that. I think it would be tremendous. What a, idea of everything that we have going on. And as much as we're having music and stuff that goes through our city,
It's something that I think people could see as achievable right now. I mean, it's not a monster out there. It can be done.
Well, thank you.
So do we have to, do we have to make a motion to?
No,
to
it's,
go ahead?
so, it's just a discussion, and I just wanna put something in so we can get the ball moving in some type of direction, and I think for next month, I'll put it in my notes, and Jay will remind me because I communicate a bit, but just in our notes that, you know, what our next steps are with the pool, and then, you know, I would like to kinda get an outline of what's it gonna cost to tear it down, and then what are we doing next with that property? Thank you. All right, number 12, unforeseeable business. Anybody have anything? Questions, anything?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, let's
All in
go.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You won't have it if you don't do somebody else.
Okay.
It's such a big process. Huh?
Brr.
But you
Did I?
gotta have the whales first, and then the community will come in. And I mean, I hadn't read it, but I've seen it
What-
before.
How would you define your job? What do you do exactly?
Project administration. So all of the paperwork required, or most of it is Title 61. So there's a lot of
But if you got the
Part of
whales,
the work
if you got
that I
the whales
do,
in there, then you.
all the way from
Hey,
calling the bidders on our bidders
this is a
list
green
to
sweep
make sure they're
number.
coming to pre-bid and gonna bid and letting them know, hey, this is, you know, what's coming up.